Mockery is the tool of the weak-minded.
Oh?
Who says so?
In that case, QE might be the weakest-minded individual that ever existed.
I agree with you on that.
Ooh.
Well done. We reached some now. Now we have a point of agreement, and we can move forward from there.
Yeah, though,
That's
because
the
you
weak-minded
employ his same methods. You're
No, I don't.
as he is. Why do you glorify by mimicking?
Nice move, Crit.
Why do you
Nice
why do you
move.
mimic somebody who you despise so much?
I don't mimic him.
Oh, then why do you use his arguments and his same formulations?
When has that happened?
Your scientific method, the way that you deflect, the way that you'll ask a question with a question, the way that you call fallacies. Basically, your entire shtick is QE.
Wait, how can you ask a question without a question?
Calling out
My
fallacies is QE. Come on now.
He meant
You're being
you
QE when
answer
you
a
call out
question with a
someone being
question.
fallacious. That's so sad.
When your role model is QE, you've got problems.
So you guys have no idea. Like Huey's got me blocked now.
Doesn't matter. You still use his line of argumentation. But
Okay, well I guess we don't reach.
the guy that Nathan Thompson stole his, the guy that Nathan Thompson stole his brain training from has Nathan blocked. Nathan doesn't even like that guy anymore, and yet he still uses his same scams.
It's because QE has a very abrasive style. They try to paint everyone with a QE brush just to try to like make them look bad or something.
Yeah, they get beat.
Sad. Like.
So do you agree that QE is a bad person then?
No, I think QE is necessary because of how toxic there are globalists on the side. So you bring in this firebrand who like mocks people and makes fun of them to dress you down, and it may be something some people need. But
so you know what happens when you fight fire with fire, right? The fire grows bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't work like that. It doesn't solve any shit.
Yeah, so instead of
not if you're in a vacuum, then you run out of oxygen and the fire dies.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Why won't QE come off his out of his little den and debate on an open platform?
Because he's a gamma. He's a little gamma turd. He needs to have the mute button and the block button. What more can I tell you? You know?
Wait, is gamma lower than beta?
Yeah. Beta is actually not a bad thing to be a beta.
How come? How do you know?
Because like you need to be able to lead and you need to be able to follow.
Speak for yourself, Crit.
No, I'm serious. There's been times in my
alpha?
life where I'm like, I'm gonna follow that guy because he's the one who's gonna get the job done.
What about the alpha? The alpha only gets followed.
No, the alpha. But sometimes when you're the alpha too, you need to be able to step aside because your techniques might not be appropriate. It's a lot of mansphere, a lot of stuff people used to learn from having career fields or joining the military. This is nothing new. This idea of the alpha, beta, and gamma isn't. Yeah, this stuff has been around since the caveman days.
But the only people who use that terminology are super toxic people. You realize that, right?
I agree.
Yeah, I see what you're going with that.
He's not going anywhere with that, dude. It's just honest observation, dude. It's very toxic people use that.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people want to have this touchy-feely experience on the internet. Like somehow it's like two guys just having a beer at a bar, but it's not the truth of the matter.
Yeah, what's the problem of having a two beer like on the internet?
Yeah, I prefer that.
Alcohol is haram. That's the problem.
Okay, your mom showing her tits is haram as well, so stay quiet, child.
And she doesn't do that.
Yeah, she does.
Man, if you saw my mom's, that's your problem right there.
Let's not talk about it, man. Okay.
Let's not talk about how old she is, man.
Secrets. I'm not all about to embarrass people and expose them. Okay.
You can't.
So Mr. Buffett just
I like it when Percent says things are haram. He's about the fakest Muslim that existed.
Man, I'm super fucking that shit, man. He could be the first Muslim who is a fucking flippers.
Wait, I have the thickest what?
Said you're about the fakest Muslim that ever existed. You don't know Sahih Bukhari. You don't know Sahih Muslim. You don't know anything about your hadith, your tafsirs.
How would you know?
You don't listen to any of your imams. You're probably a fucking idiot.
Man, he sounds like a Lebanese. You know, Lebanese people, they don't learn shit about their religion.
Like, if you're gonna just try talking trash, then at least be able to pronounce the word correctly.
Habibi,
it's not Muslim. Okay?
Yeah, what?
He's like, you're the thickest Muslim.
You're Muslim. Don't say Muslim, dude. You can't pronounce Muslim, so say Muslim.
I know, I'm making fun of the dude, because that's what he said.
No, he can't pronounce it, dude. He's not Arabic, dude.
He could pronounce it. He could say, at least get close. But Muslim is just way far off base, and he's trying to say that. I don't know enough about my...
You always say Muslim as well, dude.
Pathetic.
I'm actually interested in your percentage. How did you get introduced to this idea of flat Earth?
How did I get introduced to it? The
Yeah,
internet.
and how, like, did you buy into it just because it made sense to you, or
No, I heard about it and I wanted to learn more about it, see if they're just like crazy, saying like talking smack, or if it was actually had anything to it. So I, researched the Eric Dubay stuff, and that's how I got into it.
Eric Dubay.
like, do you understand how absurd is this? That third world countries, like in the Middle East and North Africa, it's very rare to find any movement refuting the shape of the planet as a globe or upper spheroid. Yet you have people in America believing in this fantasy Lala pizza-shaped planet, and you're one of the us.
It's very rare to find what?
A Middle Eastern who believe that the Earth is flat.
I disagree.
I disagree with you disagreeing with me.
I've met a Muslim that believes that the Earth is flat.
Holy shit! Okay, now my worldview is
Yeah,
breaking.
most true Muslims do, but they do believe that it's flat because it
Wait.
mentions it in the Quran and the Hadith like how many times?
No,
He's
they
actually
don't.
this guy is actually the only flat earther I've met in real life that I knew was a flat earther.
Interesting. Okay, still two. That doesn't denounce my argument anyway. It still holds true.
Yeah, that's just anecdotal. So
I agree. Yeah.
What he doesn't mention though is when he says the Quran says that the Earth is flat. The Quran also says that the sun sets in a muddy spring to the west and rises from a spring in the east.
That's actually
Debatable.
true as well.
Well, I mean, to dial back, we were talking about just a little bit ago, where Bev, this is why Bev says that he's a level earther or something like that. Is it like this connotation that it's gone flat Earth versus globe Earth for so long that's almost like both sides are just talking over each other's heads now, and no one's paying attention anymore.
You know, Crit, I've discovered a thing recently today, especially today's morning, that there are a bunch of you, Crit. You may be a true believer, but take this word from me. I find it very amusing and very enjoying to pretend to be a retard and argue a lot of people against, a trivial shit that, you arouse them, you trigger them, you incite them, you gaslight them. It's very, intriguing. It's very fun, it's very entertaining. And I'm pretty sure like a lot of you guys do so as well because it's entertaining. Because I experienced it. I pretended to be a retard for one day or less than a one day, and I had a lot of fun. It's sickening, but it's still fun.
Yeah, I really don't see that. I mean, what I see here is it's better for me. It's more entertaining to actually talk to somebody and then understand their point of view and they understand mine. Like an intellectual conversation instead of like shit talk.
Speaking about like intellectual conversation, like you understand that when you guys accuse us of having a religion and you make mockery of our own model, that we don't know our own model is flawed, or all of those things, don't you realize that, like, okay, how about, I need your opinion about this. What do you think about predictive power that a model provides? Do you think this is a good thing to have in a model, that you can predict things using it?
Yeah, but then when it doesn't predict, that's an important thing too.
I agree with you. Therefore, you improve upon the model, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And has anyone mentioned or claimed that the model we have is a perfect static model from the very beginning?
I wouldn't say, yeah, some people do, some people don't. Other people talk about it.
Let's be very academic and very scientific. Yeah. Have you ever seen a scientist saying that our model is 100% accurate and perfect and represent reality as it is?
No. Matter of fact, the one that was just dropped in March, they preface it saying this model isn't correct either.
Yeah, so when you're arguing about and making a mockery of our model, there is a ground where we're not agreeing which things are true and which things are false and which things, are less accurate or needs more accuracy in it. One of the things that we're supposed to agree on is one, space do exist. The vacuum does exist because of gravity. The effect, the apparent force of gravity do exist because we can observe it. We can, selectively exclude and invoke variables at will to isolate magnetism from different type of forces to actually make sure there's a specific force that keep pushing things down and increasing their velocity at seconds, with time as well, like there's an acceleration, I mean. And those things need to be considered, need to be talked about, and need to be studied. And I have yet to see any flat earther giving a full coherent understanding, which, by the way, you don't need NASA's funding. All what you need is measurement principles and laws. Yet you didn't even provide any units about your own relative density. Yes, you said things fall and float because of relative density. We ask you, what's the cause of relative density? You say density. Then we ask you, what is density? You say mass over volume. Then we ask you, which one of those things is causing things to go up or down? You tumble upon each other. You don't answer.
Yeah, I think Jem wanted to chime in. He saw his mic lit up a couple times.
Jem defended himself, and that was
okay.
you.
Yeah,
So,
Sabine, Hosfeld, did a video about a year ago where she said, basically talked about flat Earth and why she thought it was fascinating to talk with flat earthers online. And she doesn't say anything like, oh, they're retarded, flat earthers are dumb, they're trolls. She said they're wrong, but not stupid. And she said,
you mean you're mentioning the German scientists?
Yeah, the astro.
I've seen their video.
Yeah, it's a really good video, and
she's being very generous, by the way.
Just being very nice.
She's being very nice to you guys.
Yeah, there we
go.
No Kocho got it.
But the problem is a lot of the stuff that you guys say is like the way that you guys engage intellectually is 100% dishonest, or you guys like refuse to concede points that are obvious because you want to like try to define words off of like dictionary definitions where it's not how the world works, like, or define how the earth works by like saying level equals horizontal. It's like we don't give a shit about definitions in books. We care about reality and how the world actually works, and trying to pull words out of books and stuff like that isn't science. It isn't how science is done or anything like that.
Logical and reasonable.
Yeah, just getting a definition of what science is seems to be a sticking point too.
That's why we don't try to do that. We talk about how things actually work. We don't care unless you guys are like using words wrong, which like flat earthers often do that.
Yeah, but
so
the problem with them is they like to say that words have a definition, and like you say, they pick it out of a book, right? But it all depends on the content in which the word is being used, depends on what the word actually means. Yeah? I mean, if you write down the word live, yeah, but without any words before or after, you don't know if the person's saying live or live, because they're both spelled exactly the same. Yeah. So it depends on the content of the rest of the words, depends on what the word actually means.
Oh yeah, and then you'll throw in their language barriers and like education levels and societal differences. It can be a lot of difficulty. That's why for me it's been one of the things too where a lot of globalists like to pretend like somehow they're enlightened, but they can't even talk to a flat earther, but yet somehow in their mind they think they're ready to speak to an alien consciousness. I mean, for me it's like, how do you square that?
The consciousness is very likely not going to say, oh, by the way, let's see, the earth is flat.
No, the alien consciousness might only communicate through like smells or mind visuals or some sort of
are you comparing that to somebody, and are you comparing that to flat earth?
No, I'm comparing that if you can't even interact with somebody with your own language, your own social status, and education level, how in God's earth are you going to be able to interact with a completely alien consciousness?
Flat earthers are at the same education level. The vast majority of them have high school degrees at best.
I mean, this is a complete like red herring and has nothing to
Yeah,
do
it's like a
with the
false
argument whatsoever.
If 99.9% of the human population agrees and goes along with one thing and based on evidence or what they've seen or what they've been shown or what they can measure, and then 0.1% disagrees, and your point is that we can't communicate with the 0.1% that disagrees, then how are we ever going to talk to aliens? I just don't understand that point.
Yeah, that's the best takedown of atheism I've ever heard.
What in the hell are you talking about?
you talking about?
Wow, that was like
now?
that was amazing.
Yeah, like somehow the minority can just doesn't exist because the
Okay,
majority.
so,
What are you even talking about?
we're not talking about religion. We're talking about the fact that the Earth is not flat.
Oh, so Hitler then.
I swear, like, this is so fucking funny. Like, I predicted this. You get, like, we talked to him serious, coherent, sincerely, and he pivots, he red hair, and, like, come on, dude. Seriously? You gonna do it again?
No, I mean seriously. When you talk about somehow flat earthers don't matter because they're a very small percentage of the population, that same argument can be
That's not
flipped
what I
back on you and say, "What about atheism? It's a very small percentage too."
I didn't say that they didn't
But they're
matter.
talking to you.
So 0.1% denies reality and hand waves evidence. And since we can't somehow communicate with them on their level, that somehow equates with us trying to communicate with aliens. Like if we can't communicate with people who hand wave evidence, how are we going to communicate with aliens? Just doesn't make sense at all.
Okay, I can tie it in real quick. So what I'm looking at here is that your perceived reality is about the same as the flat. Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean someone else was talking.
I understand you, by the way. I understand what you're trying to say, but you're putting it in a way that implies something else, and you're having this argument on false pretenses. You're assuming that first of all, we're coming from the same background, which not necessarily. We have the same level of education, which is not necessarily. We think of the same level, the same type, the same paradigm, the same methodology, how we, investigate and acquire knowledge, which is not true. Ours, I can prove it to you that it's more rigorous, more authentic, and more sincere. We don't have any agenda. I'm not religious. I wouldn't push any flat earth conspiracy just because I'm Muslim or I'm Christian or I'm Jew, whatever you want to call it. I have no dog in the game. What I do is I observe the sky. Yes, you can look around yourself, and you honestly, a lot of the ancient civilization, they thought it's a flat plane because they were living in a small land. It appears to be in them flat. Go forward in history, when people started to sail, and what they observed is that the sails and the ships go behind horizon. They sink bottom up, bottom first. Then they logically concluded that the only way for this to happen is on a spherical object. And this doesn't need, like, you want to invoke the black swan, you can invoke it. We already talked about it 10 times. I don't know if you want to do it again. But we don't need to go this far away. We have footage from the space, which you need to go to lengths and extremes where you need to somehow justify conspiracy theories that even God himself couldn't even make in his own history books. Okay? The idea that China and Russia and Britain and Germany, all those countries with America are colluding, it's a little bit funny.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I'm not sure what exact main point you want me to address. I could talk about collusion first, or that's really the last point?
The main point, I'm showing you the absurdities of how you guys reach and excuse and justify your own beliefs.
Yeah, there's actually a Chinese philosopher. I tried to Google it, but I couldn't. It was like something about like Zhuo Tuo.
Why do we need to talk about this Chinese philosopher?
Oh, so I can bring my point. Yeah, I can explain my point to you. So he would always bring in these absurdity comments when I can't think of a good example, but I read it years ago. So when someone would offer something like, one person saying, I perceive the Earth to be flat and stationary, and the other person says the Earth is not flat and not stationary. And then like that sort of yin, it doesn't match a yin yang perception of that. So then,
what does that have to do with anything, dude?
well, telling me something is not something, how does that tell me what it is?
We
tell you what it's not, and then we show you what it is. How is that confusing to you?
Yeah, because you already perceive it to be flat and stationary to begin with. What you would need to do is say, why does the Earth present itself as flat and stationary, even though it's not?
The Earth does not present itself as flat as stationary.
Well, to me, it does.
Your senses are not a reliable tool of making measurements of the Earth because of how big it is.
So your argument
And
is
there,
really your
and there are
senses.
lots of clues. There are lots of clues.
So your argument isn't that the Earth is not flat. The argument would be that senses aren't reliable. Correct?
No, it doesn't work this way.
Not that
It
senses
doesn't
aren't
work this way.
reliable. They're not accurate enough to be able to make measurements of an object the size of the Earth.
Just by eyeball.
Just
And that's-
use your eyes to estimate the size of a building. Like that.
Mm.
No, you can't do that. No human can do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. I have no problem with you saying that. Now, what tool can we measure it with?
Well, we measure that the Earth is rotating with gyroscopes all the time, every single day.
So gyroscopes prove Earth rotation. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely,
hey,
Rakia.
Calm down,
A
buddy.
15-degree
Calm
polar
down.
drift.
So, what tool do we measure the curved water with?
We've taken pictures of it plenty of times.
You can't do that. Optics don't work. Plenty of
They
times
do
I've
work.
told you that.
You
So
assert
what-
they don't work, but they give accurate results.
What
Optics
tool?
don't
What
work.
tool do we measure the shape of the water with?
A photograph camera.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
we
what I
take
thought.
photos of it from
Y'all can
space.
carry on now. I'm done with this guy.
Good.
Geodesic
Okay.
survey. Surveys, GPS.
Okay, show me one geodetic survey that's measured curved water. I'll wait here. I've been asking this for about 2 years.
What's wrong with measuring curved land?
Land
He's been
slopes.
asking this over and over and been told the answer over and over. Yet he's back
What
here
surveyor
asking
in
it
their
over
right
and over.
mind wants to survey
Land
water?
slopes
What's the
down
fucking
to
point?
the
I know.
sea level.
Rakia. We'd
This
use
is just pure
radar.
sea lining.
I know.
We'd use
So pathetic.
radar and other methods
Dumb.
like that with satellites to measure the geometry of the Earth.
We've taken photos of it.
Isn't
So you're
isn't
using
water always
satellites.
level, Rick? Here, isn't it always
No,
level?
it's not. So
Oh.
you're using satellites to
Oh.
measure. You're
Oh.
using satellites to measure the
Interesting.
curve.
Very
Why are you cutting
interesting.
me off, Jim?
Can it be curved then if it's
So
not level?
now he answered that satellites are being used to measure the curved water, correct?
And
Yeah,
some
we-
cases-
Okay.
Fair enough.
One
that's
among
great.
many.
What tool can I use here on Earth to measure that curved water?
Don't give a bugger.
Plumb
Why do you
lines.
want to measure curved
I
water?
don't have a satellite. I can't.
Plumb
get
lines
one.
and a surveying setup.
No, I'm being asked question. I thought y'all
wasn't
were the
a
smart
question.
ones.
That
Why
wasn't
are
a
y'all gonna
question.
ask a dumb lion flat earther
Reciprocal
question?
zenith angle measurements. All done.
They got nothing for us, Rocky.
Say it again.
Reciprocal
Reciprocal zenith angles.
Okay, great answer.
And you've
That
been
sounds
shown this
really good.
100 times, so why are you asking the same questions
That's a
over and
great
over
answer.
every
That sounds
fucking
really
day, dude?
smart.
It's pathetic.
That
Right,
sounds
Angel.
really smart.
Can
Can
I
you
just
show me
interject real
any
quick with something relevant?
person, any qualified, certified person doing that over, let's say, a surface of water?
Oh, we know you're not qualified or certified, so I don't
Yes,
give a
we
shit.
know that. We've well established that. I'm talking about y'all. Y'all, the smart people. Have
Y'all.
any of
The
y'all?
Uh-huh.
done
reciprocal zenith
Yo.
angle doesn't
The
matter. Requires both objects to be at the same height.
debunked this reciprocal zenith angles.
So
The
is that a
Rumpus
no? No
himself.
one's done it.
Is my
It
mic
can
low?
be.
Jessica,
Mic
shut
low?
up.
No, we hear you. Let Jeremy get in, guys, please. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Friday night on Ranty's show, the Rumpus debunked the notion that the main surveyor measured plumb lines that weren't parallel. That didn't happen.
Huh?
How is that?
Check the last 5 minutes of Randy's show. You need more measurements than he had. He didn't have enough
Can you explain
measurements.
how? Can you explain the methodology or
Yes,
the
he didn't.
principles?
He
Go
didn't-
ahead.
He didn't have enough refraction measurements. Plain and simple. Period.
I agree.
Because Rumpus didn't do enough measurements, that doesn't debunk anything. You realize that, right?
No, the Rumpus clearly said he didn't
debunking
have enough.
the goalpost, right?
So
Go.
just get back to my question when y'all get done with
That's
this.
pretty funny.
What tool would I use to measure curved water? Y'all can get back to me. I'll be
Why
here.
do you want to measure curved water? How ridiculous. What's wrong with measuring curved land?
It's not ridiculous.
Isn't it?
There's nothing wrong with measuring the curvature of water.
No, I just don't know why you want to bother.
It's the simplest and most straightforward with them, even though they will still reject it. It's the closest thing we have that to what they would accept, but they still won't.
Okay,
True.
curved is making
It's already
sense.
been done, and yet it's been hand waved away.
But we take
Okay,
photos
it's been
of Earth
done.
from
Show,
space. It's
show
not
us.
flat.
Do you have a video of that being done?
You're fully aware,
I do, and
George.
you've seen
You
it
know what he
before.
did.
Of who?
Don't sit there and play dumb. Don't play dumb, Rakia.
He's
Of
not
who,
playing.
Who did you say?
Don't
Jason.
play dumb, George.
I'm
You
asking
know
you
what
who
he
you
did.
said.
George, goddammit.
George didn't measure curved water.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, get George on here and he'll tell you he didn't.
He measured drop from horizontal.
Whoa, no, you misinterpreted something that he said. I'll guarantee it.
Okay, maybe I did. So my question still stands. Get him on here and let's see if he says he measured curved water.
I don't
Here's
take
another
orders
one.
from you, Rakia.
He
Okay.
measured drop.
I
Yeah,
just
we know
posted
he did.
another
You can
one.
just go and watch his video where he does
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I posted another one, which I
What
know
timestamp
you've seen,
can I see
and I
his
know you've
video
already
saying he
hand waved
measured
away.
curved water.
Yeah, curved water right here, in video form.
Yeah,
Curved water
Jesse,
on video
'cause
form.
last-
Okay, hang on. I'll go.
Yeah, I'll go watch it. He says, even though he's seen it 29 times already, coming in and asking the same goddamn questions every fucking day.
Yep.
I'm actually interested. Would you guys be down for writing up a list, like in Excel sheets, and writing their names down, and we go through topics, and then we tick whoever actually agrees, with us and understand this point. Because this would be interesting. This would be like a reference point, so we see whoever changed his point or position later on.
Hang on,
You
he's
suck.
right. I've seen that video, and yesterday on Jose's,
I love you.
the other surveyor and Jesse said that that's not an accurate measurement, and you shouldn't use it for earth curve proof. So you got anything else?
I didn't even listen to that.
Yeah, that was a claim without any kind of evidence. So
No,
when
that's
I was
not a
on
claim,
so and so
that's
show the
video
other day,
proof.
so and so
Yesterday,
said
it
such
happened
and such.
yesterday.
Therefore, I'm going to hand wave this because I'm a toddler. Got it.
You can't
Not to
take
mention
long
that Rakia
distance
has a tendency to
optical
lie about what people
measurements
actually
over
said to
water
him.
like that. They're distorted. The light is
Well, it's weird how you're
distorted, therefore,
untrustworthy
the
and that we just
measurements
can't
are
take
not
you at your
accurate.
word.
Jesse and Larry Scott said that yesterday.
What Jesse said that you can't trust his own video?
He said you wouldn't use that as earth curve proof, and Larry Scott said you wouldn't take a measurement over water like
You just
that.
said
because
Jesse
the light-
Kozlowski said that you wouldn't take this video and show it as evidence. That's
It wasn't
Jesse's
Jesse.
video. Are you saying that Jesse lied to us immediately
It wasn't
when he
Jesse
showed us this?
I'm not
Kozlowski that was on
saying
this.
he's lying. I'm saying you wouldn't use it for accuracy or earth curve proof.
Doesn't make any sense.
It wasn't.
You wouldn't
Jesse
use it as an
Contradicting
accurate
statement by
measurement.
the same guy.
It does say right in the caption that you wouldn't use it for actually making standard measurements. But
Yes, he's
Oh,
not
wait a
asking about a
minute,
standard measurement. That's a,
Does it
he's using
really?
this to show you drop from horizontal.
Yeah, it shows drop from horizontal over water, but it doesn't say that it's accurate and should be used for earth curve proof. Now, does it?
So how would you presume an accurate measurement would look like then?
Oh no, I'm dumb. I'm not a surveyor. I'm asking the.
So
smart
you're
guy.
just
And
stepping
y'all don't
your
seem
own
to have
evidence
anything.
and you're not claiming anything.
No, I'm
Exactly.
claiming
Not to
that y'all
mention
don't
that he has
have
a
anything.
huge tendency to grossly misrepresent what people say about things.
Absolutely.
Very untrustworthy.
Yeah, now we're attacking the character. When y'all just
Oh,
said
you,
Well,
that,
no, we're
the video,
yeah, we are
y'all
because
just posted
you've
that
repeatedly
the video
lied.
y'all
So how can we
posted
trust you when you're just
doesn't
hand
even
waving this
say what
stuff?
y'all
Behavior,
said. So
Rakia. You don't have any character to attack.
it seems like New
Listen,
Black Death is being
Rakia,
dishonest.
I've said nothing about your drinking habits. I've said nothing about whether or not you're a good gambler. I haven't said anything about your character. I've said that you have a tendency to tell things not the way they were said to you, and that's been proven over and over again. It's a behavior,
that the
it's a
case
history,
here?
it's not a character. I cannot take things that you say at face value because you have a history of lying.
Okay, you're not taking anything I'm saying other than what New Black Death posted as Earth Curve proof, and y'all are saying yourselves that it's not. Jesse's not saying
No,
it is.
none
He's
of us
saying
said
you
that.
can't.
None of us
And
said
also,
that.
Larry, yeah,
None
y'all
of
See,
us
once
said
again, you're taking things that we've said and you're completely changing them around to suit your narrative. You see,
Y'all
you either
just
have a
said
problem with comprehension or you like to lie about what people say. Which is it?
y'all are saying that even in the description it's saying I've never read it. Let me read it. Survey and practicing is not to be confused with making survey and measurement using those instruments. And yesterday another surveyor, Larry
And he
Scott,
didn't say he was making a
why'd
measurement,
y'all
did he?
cut
He
me
was
off?
showing you drop from horizontal over a distance. He
Yeah,
didn't say that he didn't say that he made a measurement.
Yeah, because like he's literally saying that surveyors don't take photographs through surveying equipment in order to measure. Note: taking photographs through surveying equipment telescopes is not standard surveying practice. Is not to be confused with making surveying measurements. And then later on, he shows all of the measurements, which don't include taking pictures through the telescope instrument.
Okay, does he say those measurements are accurate?
Of course.
Of course he does. I'll show you that.
The pictures through the telescope aren't the point. The measurements
I don't get
taken
what you're saying.
with the instruments is the point. He was taking pictures through the telescopes to make a point for flat Earth. He wouldn't do that in a geodetic surveying situation where he's getting paid as a licensed professional surveyor.
Would you think Jesse, the guy who made this video, would do this for money, like as a paid surveyor?
He just answered that question. Once again, your ability to comprehend is less. Your ability to comprehend is so fucking basic.
Your ability
he just
to
answered that
shut
question.
up
Why
while
are you
I'm
asking it
talking
again?
is amazing. You can't do it. You personally cannot shut up while I'm talking.
Wow, the projection.
Turnabout's fair play.
Well, what's the
asshole.
dumbass question?
Jesse himself, the video that y'all posted, the exact surveyor has said that these measurements over water are not to be used for accuracy. You know why? Because they're not accurate. Why else would he say it? Another surveyor.
Okay, do you have citation for that? Or are we just supposed to take you at your word that so and so said such and such at some point and then hand waves away anything that we show you?
No, you don't have to
By
hand
the
wave
person who actually posted it and wrote up the entire thing, showed the methodology of every step along the way, and showed all of the measurements at the end.
Well,
how you would do it and how
we're
you wouldn't
talking
use
about
it.
two
Yeah, and
different
how you would-
Larrys.
Yeah, he shows you exactly how you could do it yourself, and you could write down the measurements too, but they wouldn't be accurate because it's over water. Another surveyor said that yesterday too, Larry Scott.
Okay, so why do you want to do surveying measurements over water all the fucking time, Rocky?
I don't. I do
You're the
not.
one that fucking brings it up every fucking
Yep.
day. Every
Yep.
fucking day.
Yeah, I'm asking you how we measure curved water.
Then we just did.
You just
And
measure
y'all-
Earth
y'all are
curves.
posting something. Y'all are
We
posting
don't measure
something that's not
curved water.
accurate.
What's the fucking point?
Nobody fucking does surveying measurements over water because it's stupid and there's no reason to do it.
That's not where we
It's a
build
body of
things.
water. Yeah, the dimensions.
Uh,
the dimensions of borders of
wow.
the lake
Okay.
might be important, but the shape.
They
of
do
the
surveying
water,
over water all the time.
They do?
Yeah, let me show you. How do you think that they built the Lake Pontchartrain Bridge?
What do you mean? They took benchmarks at higher elevations, not close down to the water, and they didn't have to be within 2 inches.
Let me find it for you. Okay.
You're gonna post something about the Lake Pontchartrain Bridge being built?
Yeah, as your voice cracks, absolutely.
Yeah, I've been up for a while in the cold air. Sorry about that, buddy.
No.
Yeah, some of us were.
Hey, sorry to hear about the Saints, man. Fighting Tom Brady gave y'all hell.
I know, man. 2 great quarterbacks. Suck ass game though.
What in the hell is wrong with Breeze? I've never seen him throw to white jersey so often. Well, I don't know.
21 points off of turnovers. Can't beat that.
I think Bev's pretty solid on his survey stuff.
Who's that?
Bev, try thinking. That might be.
Yeah, he knows a good bit.
He's not a surveyor, but that's okay.
He's not a certified surveyor. He does have some surveying experience and qualifications, but he's not a certified surveyor. He has more qualifications than I do, but I probably use surveying equipment more than he has.
He's got a fake GCSE.
Yeah, he has a high school class in surveying.
Well, he doesn't, because you don't do that at your our current high school.
I think it was in college, but either way.
He has a national diploma.
Well, you see, if he
with
did
one of the
it,
units from his
it wouldn't be a GCSE, it would be a BTEC. That's how I know it's fake.
Yeah, he's never showed a GCSE. He showed the BTEC.
No, he showed a GCSE.
What does that matter if it's
A much redacted GCSE.
why would he show something that's so minuscule to be fake? Like, that's stupid for you to think that.
He may not have known that it was. He may not have known that anyone would be able to call him out on it.
Call him out on what? It's a minuscule piece of paper. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't even mean he has
a liar,
experience.
Dave. That's the
It
problem.
means he took a class. Whatever. Y'all can think that all you want. I don't care.
No, if he claims to have taken and passed a class that does not exist, that is a huge thing, not a minuscule thing.
There you go.
Yeah, y'all
A
are just,
GCSE,
what are y'all doing?
a General Certificate of Secondary Education, which replaced the O level. Now, I sat pretty much the last of the O levels, and then a year or two later, they'd introduced GCSE.
So do y'all want to get Bev in here to talk about Bev, or y'all want to move on to something else?
Whatever we fucking like.
Yeah, I
You do
understand,
not
but you're
sit land
talking about
surveying
someone's
as a subject
personal
of school.
thing, calling him a liar while he's not here.
He's not even
that
here to
makes
defend
you
himself
that makes
in any
you
way.
worse than him.
I've called him a
Well,
liar to his face. So
How
doesn't matter.
How much were you talking about Soundly yesterday? And was he there in Jose's hangout? No,
I've never called Soundly a liar.
Who's
Never.
not here right now, Ron?
Yeah, you just imply it though.
Yeah.
Oh, I talk to Soundly all the time. I don't imply he's lying. I imply that he's deceived. Anything else you want to say that's not true?
You're
about him?
deceived if you think you don't imply he's a liar.
Jesus
Christ. What are you talking about? I imply
You've
that
said
he's
you've
deceived. I'm
said such
telling
things
that.
as you've said such things to Soundly as. Now, are you
Why are y'all
wrong,
worried
or are
about
you
me
just
and
telling me a lie?
Soundly DM each other. What are you
As
talking about?
as you interrupt him, Rakia, whiner.
Mm-hmm.
See, fair play, Rakia. That's what we're talking about. If you want to bitch about it, don't do it, and then you'll get some help.
I try not to do it. I wasn't.
I didn't ask if you tried or not. I said don't do it, and you'll get some help.
Yeah, doing it on purpose is different, right?
You do it
Like
on
you
purpose
do.
all the time, Rakia. You
Yeah.
literally
Yeah, I
come
wasn't
into a room
trying.
and
This
start
dude's
yelling
really
over
low
top
to
of
me.
people. You
Well, somebody
you come over the
kick
top
Curb
of
in his
people
cunt.
simply to yell and
Be right
drown
back.
things out. You have said that you do it, and you've made
Whoever's
mention of you doing
talking
it
right
while
now
you
is
do it.
really low.
All right, how's that? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh yeah. I can hear you now.
All right.
Could hear you
You
anyway.
have a tendency to barge into rooms and start yelling over top of the entire room on purpose, saying, "I'm going to continue to do this." Shut the fuck up when it comes to over talking.
Yeah. Sometimes I get carried away when people are calling me liars and all that. Yeah. But
You are
like
a
right
liar.
now, I'm not trying to overtalk anybody. Why are y'all bringing it up? Why didn't Curve step in?
It's
as a
only the
mod a
other
while ago?
90% of the time he talks.
I guess I wasn't talking then either.
Yeah, you interrupted him, Rakia, in the middle of your sentence again, dude. Cut that shit out.
So was Rakia defending Bev the liar? He's okay with liars now?
No, I think Rakia was saying that Bev should be here to defend himself. Otherwise, your arguments are cowardice.
Correct.
Oh, but does that preclude him from admitting that Bev is a liar?
I don't think that.
Are we gonna point at the other one when we're doing something wrong, like little children? Oh, well, you're doing this, and we'll, focus on what you're doing.
Right. I'm focusing on what Rakia is doing, and it sounded like he's defending a liar. He's okay with people that lie as long as it supports his belief system.
No, I'm not. You're lying about me now.
Well, I don't know if we've established. this
so
as
Rakia is Bev a liar?
He's a liar or not.
You're the one with the
Established
belief
it
system.
without
He's never
anyone
lied to
defend
me.
himself.
So,
You're
Rakia,
establishing a fact that isn't a fact yet until it's a fact. Okay, so you're trying to establish it as a fact.
Grim, I could
Yeah,
I
that's
could
my
not
name.
care
Thank you.
less.
What's wrong with defending liars?
Me too. I'll go ahead and mute you then.
Great.
What's wrong with
So
defending
shut the
liars?
fuck up. While you're
They're-
sitting here trying
they're
to tell
underrated,
everybody
very
that someone else is
classical
lying, that
instruments
person's
that
not
produce
here.
How about that
defending
gravity,
themselves.
Yeah,
You're
how
going to want to
about
try to be part of the conversation, Grim. A part of it. not the
Well, if you say
conversation.
my name a couple more
not
times,
the
I will
one
guarantee
talking
you that I'm
over
a part of the
everyone else.
conversation.
And if you
Oh, did I
think you
interrupt
can
you?
just come in
Did I
here and
interrupt you,
do
Kurt?
this,
Did I
you got
interrupt you,
another.
Kurt?
Grim,
Sorry, I
just
think you interrupted
behave.
me. I think you
Behave.
interrupted me, dude. Why
I
don't you do that?
interrupted you for a
You're
fucking
interrupting me.
reason. To
Why?
let
Because
you
I was
know.
talking? You interrupted me because you don't like what I'm saying? Is that what it was?
I think he interrupted because he's a mod and he's trying to get some kind of
Okay, Grim,
order here.
you will be unmuted as soon as I'm done with this.
He interrupted
Stop
because he's a
doing
dick.
what you're doing, Grim. I stopped you to tell you to stop doing what you're telling. You deliberately continued to be an ass speaking over me. Stop it. We'll have no problems.
He
It's
deafened.
fine.
He deafened himself.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, he can stay on deafened until.
I'm not gonna sit there and listen to some
Until
asshole fucking bitch at me because
Just
he's being a
fucking-
bitch.
Just fucking mute him again, Curved.
Shut the fuck
He's not
up.
gonna
Mute
listen to you.
Don't or be
Grim,
mad.
just behave and everything will be fine.
Yeah, where
Right,
did the
Kurt, you also
conversation go?
behave, dude.
Be part of
What
the
happened?
conversation. Stop what you're doing.
They're just
Conversation was
muting people
derailed by
wild.
Kurt.
Whoever goes against these guys,
Yeah.
they're just muting them
The
crazy. They've been on
conversation
a
was
That's
charge.
what they're
derailed
doing,
by
dude.
Kurt.
Come on,
As
man. You know that's
usual.
not true,
Are,
Jeremy.
are you gonna try to say I was
Absolutely is.
interrupting?
You guys been bugging.
Kurt, are you gonna try to say I was interrupting?
Everybody, stop
Are you gonna try and say I was
doing
interrupting?
it. Everybody,
Because I
stop
wasn't
doing
interrupting,
it.
dude.
Yeah,
All
you
did was
interrupted.
interrupt me.
You interrupted me
No, I
several
didn't
times,
interrupt you.
Grim.
I did
Yeah, you
not
did.
interrupt you.
You
No,
did.
You tried to talk through me.
Grim,
You
you're doing
literally
it
tried to talk through
now.
me.
Just
I
stop.
pointed out that you were interrupting Rakia. Remember when you were
You
interrupting
did
him in
well
the middle
more
of a
than that.
sentence?
Much
I pointed
more.
that out. Right. So that was me interrupting? Or
Grim,
was it
we're not
you
going to
being
argue about
modded for
Can,
interrupting?
Just
can we just
stop.
get a mute for Grim? Can we
Yeah,
just
that's
mute
what I
him?
thought.
He's not going to stop.
I do the same thing all the time. Sometimes a lot of people are talking, and I have to interrupt them to tell everybody to stop interrupting. So he's just trying to take control of the room, get everybody to stop doing it. So I think he's trying to. He's not just trying to mute people just to say something.
Give him
And
a second
that's
to
your
cool off.
interpretation
We'll
of
see
what
how
just
he does in a
happened,
minute.
whatever your name is, Kosho? When Curve jumped in and derailed the conversation and started muting people for no reason? That's
It
your
didn't happen.
interpretation
Hey,
as a mod here, Kosho?
It didn't
Rakia,
happen.
Rakia, back to the
Unbelievable.
conversation.
Yeah, sure. You brought up a good point, Curve. Over water would be the best place to measure, right? What would be the most accurate way to do it? Because long distance shots over water, even the surveyors now are saying that's not accurate. Well, actually, they've said it for years, just no one heard it, except for me, I guess. But
They
now
don't. They don't mean what you
As I
are
was
asserting
cut
they
off.
mean, Rakia. Because you're lying. You're just straight
Okay,
lying
well,
again.
what do they mean? Since you seem to know their thoughts, go ahead and tell us, what do they mean?
Surveyor is
Rakia, but
not flat.
because
Observations over land would be more accurate.
Yes.
yeah, and
That's what they're
because you
saying
can't
over
pull,
land?
because you can't pull a tape measure over long distances, you use GPS.
They don't say it's inaccurate, which means you can never use it for anything. They do not say that. That's what you're asserting they're meaning.
Okay, that's fair enough. Keep going. So how would we do it?
No, that's all there is to it.
So you don't want to continue. You just want to divine somebody's thoughts and then
No,
move on.
it for as in the survey terms, over land is much easier because there's less optical illusions that are going to happen over land compared to over water. And like he was saying, over water is a lot harder to measure because you're not able to use a tape measure. You're not able to use a lot of the equipment that surveyors use.
Talking about distance though, right? Not angle, like drop over a horizontal.
I would say all of the above. It's just not. It's easier over land.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So over land, let's recreate a horizontal plane, which is 3 coplanar points. How do we know we're measuring drop from horizontal on a curved surface, a flat surface, or any sloping surface?
Set up
over
a mean
land.
line. A mean line.
Zenith angles.
Yeah.
So you're talking about spherical excess would be the only way to do that.
No, he just said zenith angles. He didn't say
Zenith
spherical.
angles aren't spherical excess, bro.
But you can't measure if you're using angles. You can't prove that it's a sphere or any other shape without measuring excess.
He just went over zenith angles and long distance. The main surveyor and Larry Scott have
I said have videos about doing these long distance measurements and calculating this.
Yeah, they do.
That doesn't prove shape though. That just proves angles to what?
Shapes have angles.
Non-parallel plums would tell you a lot.
Yes.
Angles to what? Yeah, that's spherical excess though.
Angles to the center of the Earth.
Yeah, you could call it spherical axis. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's the kid with no life, huh?
Isn't that what y'all are talking about? Spherical excess?
He explicitly said that's not what it was. I don't know why you're saying it again.
Because that's how he works.
So
Spherical excess is on a
So
triangle.
what would you call the excess that is?
Nobody's
seen
talking
in
8%.
the zenith angles in the different zenith angle.
Nobody's
Wait,
talking 8%.
What do you mean?
What
Are
are you
you
What would you
controlling
call
this
it, asshole?
conversation?
You're being semantic. Genius.
Moderator. Is it okay to call for a moderator
Moderators ain't
around
gonna
here?
help you.
Maybe actually someone who would actually do their job. Why
This
is
isn't the
Negator
arena.
shutting down the
No,
conversation?
they're only waiting for me to talk, dude. To hit the mute button, bro. They're not fucking with them.
They're trying to be semantic on purpose, Rakia.
They are. It's kind of telling, actually.
Yes, it is.
Spherical
What would they be
excess
scared of?
is measured on a triangle, and
Dry snitching.
reciprocal zenith angles is not forming a triangle. So
So what would you call the excess in the reciprocal zenith angle? What's that excess due to?
It doesn't matter. You were wrong. End of story.
Could you
Did
call
that
it
Negator
spherical
trying to
excess,
control the
though?
conversation again? Shut it down.
Well, percent's boring.
Could
The
you-
conversation goes nowhere, and he's not
yeah, he's
genuine.
just trolling and trying to
You
deflect.
just
Yeah.
called someone
Colloquially,
boring.
could we just
Now
use
that is
Well,
irony.
if you drew a chord line between observers, the angles at each point would be greater than 180 degrees.
Right? If you plumb both of the ends, right?
Definitely,
would
but
be-
you could call it
Correct or
spherical
not?
excess.
Plumb both of the ends. Oh wait. I'm just kidding.
Lane, keep going.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing your slurping noises, Grim. We all definitely want to hear that.
Bong.
So my original question was most accurate way to measure over water, and no answer. So I'll take that as no answer.
Well, most accurate doesn't mean useless, or least accurate doesn't mean useless. The measurements you've been shown do prove the point intended.
So that's the most accurate you got? Shooting.
It doesn't need to be most accurate.
Wouldn't you use the most accurate? I mean, wouldn't a surveyor, a certified surveyor, use the most accurate? Or are you just not
Yes,
making sense?
but our personal knowledge of which measurement is going to be the most accurate is not a defeater to that it is done. You have been shown, shows you what you need to understand in order to conclude that the Earth is sphere, or at least not flat.
No, actually, every surveyor that I've talked to on these shows proved my point, which was one of my claims for the last 3 years, which was you can't use optical tools over long distance.
They did not do that.
Especially
Nobody has said
over
it.
water.
Nobody
As
has
I
said
cut
that
off
like
by
that.
two
Nobody's ever done or
separate-
said that.
As
Wait
I was
a
cut
minute,
off by
guys.
two separate people.
You
Where are
guys
the
gotta
mods
let him
now?
finish, guys.
Did the mods go on break?
Rakia, don't do that again. But yeah, you guys gotta let him finish.
You mean speak and get
No,
cut off?
don't
and-
ever just like try and act like you get
Don't
like
tell me what
security
to do.
backup or something like that, and ask
Yeah,
for
don't tell me
or
what
the
to
mods went on break or some shit like that.
I'm just
While
pointing out that you are biased.
while I'm
pieces
asking
of
them
shit.
to let you finish.
Moderator.
So it's been my claim for 3 years that long distance observations with this type of tool are not accurate because I don't know where I came up with that. Maybe it was because I tried it and found out that it wasn't accurate. Maybe it's because I use these tools every day and know that if you go with over 400 foot in most atmospheric conditions, that the measurements get inaccurate. Maybe that's why I said it. That's probably why. And when I talk to surveyors on here, they agree with me. That's
Got a
so
question for you, Rakia.
I think the whole room has actually seen at one point or another, just the other day, where the surveyor was agreeing with him to couldn't use this over long distance.
So Rakia,
Well, I
when
know
you
I've
say
witnessed it. But,
so
you know.
Rakia,
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you?
I'm trying to wait for you, Grim. Finish.
You're doing a good job. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Rakia, when you say inaccurate with respect to what purpose? Are you trying to horizontal or are you trying to level?
For the purpose of being accurate.
Accurate with respect to what? Horizontal
creating a
or
horizontal.
level?
Yeah. Horizontal.
So to some degree of error invalidate the observation.
Yeah, you always have plus and minus in any measurement. And as you grow in distance with optical tools, especially over water, not just over water, but especially over water, those plus and minus differences increase by factors that you can't even measure, right? That you can't put a number to, because the dynamic system and everything's always changing second by second. You have a surveyor on here. Again, I'll use Jesse Kozlowski saying that he was even surprised one day by using one of these tools over I think it was Salt Lake or whatever, where the horizon appeared higher than his horizontal level. He even said he thought his machine was broke.
Yeah, that would be a bad observation. So you would do another.
Right, and then you would get a
water
plus or
temperature
minus in
versus
that.
the air temperature, and he saw an inversion, and that made sense.
Yeah, predicted.
Yeah, which proves you always have bending light, right? Which we all agree with, due to the atmospheric conditions, which is the express written policy of these people saying that you don't use these tools over a distance like that because of that reason.
All right.
If you want to be accurate, that is. Now, if you just want to be a lame ass on the internet and shoot a horizontal line out into, let's say, I don't know, 200 miles off and say, oh, look, the sky in the distance appears to be lower than my horizontal, then go ahead. By all means, make videos about it.
Once you get, above a certain elevation, you can make that determination, because you can be certain the refraction is not going to affect it by anything much different than this standard refraction.
What elevation is that, Kosho?
I don't know. I've heard people say,
So
1,000 feet. I mean, that really depends. I can't tell you the minimum number, but you can certainly say that from an airplane, you're going to be fine. You're talking about the drop of the horizon.
What professional says that from an airplane you can take a horizontal measurement and be accurate? I'd like to.
I'm saying that you can measure the drop of the horizon from an airplane and not assume that the refraction is causing it to do something fucking weird. I'm saying that to you.
Drop from horizontal and drop of the horizon are two different things, correct?
Yeah, I thought that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, optical effects, illusions. Yeah, not
Well,
measurements.
is all of them illusionary? Every single observation?
Are you?
I don't think he's understanding that he's positing that all of refraction works backwards, or the atmosphere is actually oriented entirely upside down.
Every observation you ever do, no matter what tool you use, including when you turn a theodolite into a telescope and look out into the distance, has optical illusions involved. And when I say optical illusions, I'm talking about reflection, diffraction, refraction.
But that's how they did all the trigonometric survey or the triangle surveys, like the Great Triangle Survey of India and Great Britain. That's the only tools that they had were theodolites. To do those in mapping, planning, surveying, boundary lines, all that stuff. So when they did a triangle survey of the whole country of Great Britain, all they had was optical instruments, and they were pretty damn accurate.
Pretty damn.
Yeah, I mean, they based entire maps and navigation based on it.
Yeah, when you're talking about 1,000 square miles and you're off a couple hundred feet, no big deal, right? But when you're trying to say there's 2 inches over this half mile or whatever, you better be a little bit more accurate, correct?
What do you mean by a little bit more accurate? You haven't given us a parameter for what you define as accurate.
Yeah, no one can do that, right?
Well, no, you refuse to, because you know that as long as you keep it vague and open, you've got room to retreat.
I just said, and Larry Scott backed me up yesterday, which he claims to be a surveyor. I don't know him personally, but I'll take his word for it. that shooting a half mile over a lake and getting a 2-inch drop is not going to be accurate on anybody's standards, even mine. What are you talking about?
That's because we're not trying to measure the number of drops. I said the line on the theodolite will be the margin of error will be greater than the 2-inch. That's why he uses longer distance and he uses down to arc seconds. You're talking.
Now
So
your
you're trying
problem
to.
is even greater.
You're trying to use inches drop as opposed to measuring angles, conflating them as the same thing by keeping your language vague, and then fucking off into the distance like you want something. Stop it.
I didn't say anything about angles. I'm talking about when I asked what was the most accurate measuring over water, and someone posted a measurement over water of a half mile with a 2-inch drop. I'm saying how other surveyors say that's not accurate. What are you talking about? If you want to talk about something else, we can.
Well, the thing is, whenever you say they say that's not accurate, that's never ever actually what was said. Like the video of the surveyor that posted the theodolite retic sonata level, you claimed it wasn't accurate enough to do what he was doing, and when he very much said yes, it was accurate enough to determine drop from horizontal.
Yeah, to show
but
an
you took it
optical-
as mean something else.
to turn that tool into a telescope and show an optical illusion. Yeah, it's accurate.
Well, first you need to
He's
prove
not
it's an
measuring.
illusion, and number two, he doesn't turn it into a telescope. It's got a
Why do I
magnification
have
to it already.
Why do I have to prove it's an illusion? You're looking out into the atmosphere over water, and you think there's not reflection or refraction or miraging going on? Then you're the lost soul here, not me.
What you
this
have
is
to
how
prove.
I know.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Negator.
I was going to say, what you have to prove is that it happens every single time, all the
No,
time.
it doesn't. Except for the times that it doesn't. Except for the time that Jesse Kozlowski himself saw the horizon above the crosshairs.
Right. So we just ignore averages.
No, we're just going to say when you say every time that you're full of shit.
This is how I know he didn't read the actual Jesse Kozlowski thing that I posted, because it's not a half mile; it's 7,300 feet.
Yeah, I've gone on what I've talked to Jesse about.
Well, you have a tendency to misremember what people tell you, and you
Oh,
report it
no
poorly.
doubt, no doubt.
Which means we basically question anything you tell us, Rekia, because you got a bad track record.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, but my statement still remains: it's not going to be accurate. Whatever the numbers are, it's not accurate.
What does not accurate mean, though? Like, if I wanted the most accurate weapon to kill somebody, an M4 would be better than an M9, but I can still use an M9, right? I can still use a pistol.
Between understanding the difference between
So
inches and
if the
miles.
pistol is good enough to accomplish the task at hand, despite it being a less accurate weapon,
No, dude,
what is
no.
the point of contention with using the pistol?
Yeah, well, the point of contention is
Decimal points.
what tool you're using for the job would be a factor. So when you're saying you're going to measure drop over horizontal over water, then you definitely wouldn't use a theodolite, correct?
No, nobody says that.
Yeah, we do, because you know why? Because they're not accurate. You're not going to hit the target.
Well, how do you know? And define accurate.
Because all the surveyors will tell you that, and common sense will tell you that.
No, they won't. Remember, you're lying again, because the quotes you're getting this from are not. They're not saying that this is not inaccurate. They're saying that you can depict drop from horizontal, right?
Very easy for you to prove this yourself, right?
I've done
You're
it.
trying to hit a target in your reference with a gun, and I'm trying to hit a target very accurately. And you're saying, well, if I'm an inch or two off when I'm trying to measure an inch or two, that's okay. And I'm saying, no, that's not
They're
okay.
not trying to measure drop in inches.
Yeah, but
sure
you
they
keep
are.
saying very accurately. You keep refusing to define what that is. If I have to hit a target within 50 meters, I can do that accurately with an M9. If I want 200 meters, the M4 would be more accurate.
Yeah, so context matters, and
So
in
he
context
understands
of what we're
exactly
talking
you
about,
mean,
we're
Rocket.
talking about surveying, which means to be very accurate. As
Oh.
in,
understands
if
Then
you
what's-
want to hit the
give us some
bullseye,
parameters.
if you want to hit the bullseye, you're not going to set that bullseye over water a half mile away. You know why? Because you're not going to be accurate. So no surveyor that's getting paid and needs to be accurate would ever
Yeah,
do that.
you got to tell us what accurate and very accurate means.
I said
What
bullseye.
degree of accuracy?
Bullseye. They want to hit the bullseye.
There's
They
no
wanna
such
be-
thing as perfect accuracy.
Let me ask him a question on this. Rakia, you're looking to an auto level across a still calm lake. The opposite bank is a mile away. on the globe, the expected drop is 8 inches. How close to 8 inches do we have to observe in order to call the observation accurate enough to show what we're saying?
Over a mile, I
Floating
would
measurement.
say maybe, I would just like guess and say an inch or so.
Within
But
an
we
inch
wouldn't.
or so.
No, my point is no surveyor would ever do that.
Is
Yeah,
guessing
but,
accurate?
Okay.
but that's
I'm
that's
making
false.
a point of my own.
I'm just using a hypothetical. You're hypothetical. For one, you're not going to get 8 inches. For two, it's going to be up one day, down, and it's going to be a plus or minus. Three,
Okay.
you're never going to get the same thing under different conditions.
Okay, I
You know,
can.
20
I
times
can.
further
You,
than a
you
My-
know why,
survey would
Curve?
normally use.
You want to know why?
Let me know
Because
when
at
you're
that point, you're okay. I will. I'll take a long pause and you'll know. The reason why you don't do that is because at that point you're turning that tool, which is very precise under its guidelines, which is around 400 foot to measure horizontal drop, to
Boom.
create a horizontal plane. You're turning that tool into a optical tool, a telescope with crosshairs. Okay. And when you're trying to take a measurement and you're getting different measurements on different days because of the atmospheric conditions, no surveyor is going to want to do that. Now they can, if they're
Except they
hired to do
do.
that, and they
Yeah,
don't
that's
have
the
to
way
be
it's done,
accurate.
though.
Like if they have to be within 4 or 5 inches, then they'll gladly do it over and over again, get paid for it, great
No,
money.
That's Rakia. That's not what you're saying. I get, but at the same time, a surveyor is going to take that measurement 3 different times in that day on different days to get more of an accurate reading on that. When you're
Then
saying
you're
it,
just
it
gonna
sounds like
have
you're saying they take.
Guys,
It sounds like you're saying they take one shot, but they don't.
You're just gonna have an average after that then.
Yeah, they're going to take averages, but that's not.
Guys,
That's just an average. It's
That's
not
the
accurate
best
way
that you
to
can
do it.
do, though.
Yeah,
Under
Curve is
plus or
waiting for him to
minus.
finish so he can respond to him.
If I could quickly finish up with this, the point of this particular line is trying to get an idea of what is accurate with Rakia. Is it a billionth of an inch? Is it a thousandth of an inch? What would be accurate, Rakia?
Yeah, I've already
An inch,
answered
he
that.
said.
You
He
gave
said
your
an inch.
hypothetical over a mile. I said about 1 inch, but
Is
that would
arc seconds good enough accuracy?
Right. That's not exactly
Motherfuckers, man.
accurate, but if that's within the realm of acceptable standards for you, you should be able to get that the majority of the time. As long as you've got decent equipment with relatively low measure of the arc seconds of your error bar plus or minus, you should be relatively around that most of the time, barring extreme conditions. You can use conditions that give you the best sighting. Now the
You're
last
proving
thing
my point.
is, see, we're going to be much closer to the drop of the globe that's expected than the virtually zero drop expected on flat Earth, which you're almost hardly ever gonna see unless you've got these bad conditions, things that are favorable to unusual, even backwards, or the extreme refraction, not backwards, sorry, but extreme refraction.
You're actually proving my point. So once you get over that distance of 400 foot on most days, it can be less on refracted days and longer distance over less refracted days. Once you get into that half mile, you're turning that tool into an optical tool. You're not measuring any drop, which I would agree that the bias is always the light's going to be refracted. You're going to show a drop over that distance because of the way light works, but that's the whole point. You're making my point for
Yeah,
me.
that means that light works backwards. Stop
Wait a minute.
getting your shit upside down.
No.
I never made your point, and everybody here knows that, or most people here know that. Now, who wants to deal with the refraction aspect and why it is that it would show what Rakia has admitted, the predominant number of times?
Actually, I did post real quick the trigonometric survey of Lake Pontchartrain, which did include 4 floating pylons in the lake. So you can see all the triangle measurements that they made from the shore to the floating pylons, from floating pylons to floating pylons, or not floating. I think that they're anchored. I'm trying to find the actual article, and you can see how accurately it was basically measured with optical surveying equipment over water over and over again. That's how your precious Pontchartrain Bridge was built.
That's a problem.
Yeah. Also curious why all these devices have a rating, an accuracy rating, and angular measurements, and not distances.
Opposed to that?
I'll
There you
post
go.
it again.
It's in the chat. The Unlike World T2 manual and what it goes into when it talks about the calibration and specification is vertical angular resolution on page 28.
Once again, nothing new, just something you refuse to acknowledge.
It's like I knew that already. It was weird, isn't it?
And how surveying works, even over water.
I'm not claiming I know that.
Well,
I know the
manual may not
limitations
go
of my knowledge so far. I've got an idea. But yeah, I don't say no.
Now, Rakia, you did acknowledge that usually we're going to see the drop that's closer to the curvature of the Earth than flat, much closer to the curvature than to the flat over just a mile even. But you blamed it on that's how light works. Would you care to give a brief seminar on how light works in this matter?
I'll do it.
Rakia, yes or no, sir?
Of course he said not really.
Oh, that was him? The voice sounded like somebody else to me. That's why I asked.
I thought it was Grim too.
Oh,
It
well,
was me.
might
I
have been
said
Grim.
I'll do it.
Well, I thought
That's
you
what
said
I
not
thought.
really.
No,
So
I
that's
said
why
I'll do it.
I repeated the question to Rakia
Curb knew
to
it
get an
was
answer from
Rakia.
Rakia on this if he would do that. Okay, Rakia's hiding. Grim,
See, the
go.
thing is, if light works the way you guys say it does, then
If light bends
if
towards
I
the
had a
monster,
visor on,
Poor Curb.
if I had a
Jeremy,
visor,
does light bend towards it?
all right, I didn't
Does
need to
light bend
finish.
towards
It's
the denser
fine.
medium,
Yeah,
Jeremy?
I didn't need to finish.
Fuck Jeremy, I'm sorry, dude. Go ahead, man. I was just wanted to laugh real quick about how Curb did not want to say Grim. Go ahead.
Well,
No, I'm dying to hear it. But
Oh,
let
okay, I
Jeremy
thought the last
finish,
thing
and
you
then we
wanted to
want
hear
the
was me
seminar
talk.
from Grim.
Because I was trying to be funny. That's the last thing you want. Go ahead, Jeremy. Sorry, bro.
Jeremy,
You're up,
that's your chance.
Jeremy.
Yeah, that's your chance.
I dropped a link anyway in the chat about refraction, and it's really interesting. Some of the optical phenomenon that we already know exist and we expect, and it's unfortunate for the flat Earth because the stuff that he's talking about is well known already and marked. I mean, documented as and experimented on in this little experiment right here. So there's trouble on the horizon. I can see it.
I like the friendly music at the start. It's very comforting. I think this is at my level.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna say something very quick. You don't have to respect what I'm saying. I'm just I know there's always like an impulse to stop somebody when they're wrong or potentially lying or something. But if you try to interject and then they continue, it's best to give way to the person already speaking, as long as they're not carrying on too long. Just for the sake of fairness, when it's happening to you, people can say the same thing.
Let me stop you right there, Kosho. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Notice how Rakia is nowhere to be found when he has to explain how light doesn't bend towards the denser medium.
Well, the thing that gets me, I mean, the one thing I can sort of think about refraction. I mean, if it works the way we observe it to work and have tested it to work and experimented on it to work and sort of shown it to work, if the only thing it does is it works in flat Earth's favor because it makes a very small angle smaller.
Yep.
Exactly.
And if we're still fucking measuring curve, Jeremy, when the prevailing thing is it's going to make that fucking angle smaller.
Is this what Scott Mackey was showing the other day? He made those pictures with those angles. I forgot I think he was showing it to Jeremy. I forget who he was showing it to, but
Yeah. And thanks for the Black Swan photo because that demonstrates our point very nicely.